Hi, I'm James from Clevertouch. Today I'm going to show you how to set up the Touch Totem. So once you've unboxed it, it comes in two boxes, obviously the top bit and the bottom bit. What we'll need to do is get it online once you've powered it up. So the gold standard is to hardwire into the back. There's a little Ethernet port just at the bottom there, and you'll be able to plug that straight in. That should hopefully get the network. Obviously, if you want to put it on Wi-Fi, it's a little bit more tricky. Your best option is in the same spot. There is also a couple of USB ports. So what we're going to do is plug a wireless keyboard in there. When you get to the page where it's saying, not available, just right click. It may send you back to this blue page. If it does, just swipe up and hit the settings that way, or it might send you straight here. Then when you're within that settings, what we're going to want to do is turn on the network. So click on network and internet. And then I'm just going to flick the Wi-Fi on. Now, of course, if you have got the keyboard, it's going to make entering your password a lot easier. I'm already connected to the showroom network. So I'm just going to press right click to go all the way back. Just keep right clicking. And then you're going to want to relaunch the CleverLive app. Once you've launched the CleverLive app, it's exactly the same as if you put any of the other Clevertouch technologies online and putting them on CleverLive. You get this PIN code and enter it to CleverLive. So we'll move on to that step now. Okay, so we've launched CleverLive on our browser, as you always will. So what I'm going to do is log into the account. Again, if you haven't got an account already, you will need to create one. But we're just going to scroll to the Screens tab. And then, again, just like every other Clevertouch product, when we're on here, we press the Add button. We enter the PIN code. If it has vanished from the totem, you may need to press click here to get connected. And then we just enter that code. So actually the code refreshes every 10 minutes, so that's actually refreshed since we last did it. So I'm going to do 9B63CB20. Press submit. It will say device has been authorized to connect to your account, and you will see the CleverLive system status has now changed. So the first thing that we will definitely need to do is rename the system, especially if you're doing more than one. So I'm going to press that edit button and I'm just going to call this Touch Totem. Like that. The second thing that you need to ensure you do is before you start trying to play and add content to the system, you need to make sure that this arrow has disappeared. If ever you are seeing this arrow on any of your CleverLive products, that basically means that it's not ready to accept content because it is downloading or synchronizing all of that content across. So you will also see, even if I try and drag some content from the side on, what will happen is it will say content assigned to screen successfully, but it will actually say unsupported, and you will get an error message and nothing will change on the screen. That is because it is trying to synchronize. Again, if you're getting this for more than kind of a few hours, if you're not at, so at the minute we're on 2.12, you may be at, I don't know, a tiny percentage. There's likely something either wrong with the network or the account, so you'll need to seek help. So what we're going to do is just going to leave that now and wait till that's assigned. So after leaving it a little bit of time, what you can now see is it's saying content synchronized there, and we can also see that it will say content synchronized on the laptop too. So now we're back on the laptop and we can see that arrow is no longer there. What we're going to do is start then creating our content basically. So I have made stuff earlier. Now the Touch Totem does work best with full screen based stuff. So this one or this one is a really good example. So we can see on this particular presentation here, that is just one single image. There are some touch buttons that you can see, but it's one single video actually running. So the Touch Totem will work with multi-zone, but it does definitely function quicker with single zone stuff that it just then has to load some buttons. Now I'm going to use actually this homepage that we created earlier. So the way you create your content on CleverLive is you would create multiple different presentations and then link them to one another. So in this case, this is my homepage, if you like. Again, the vast majority of it is one MP4, and then I've added a clock. So you can see there's a date and time clock there. Once I've kind of added that content, what I need to do is add these buttons. These buttons can be found by pressing the padlock and scrolling across to this hand. When you click on that, it'll ask you to add a touch zone, and that basically adds this kind of transparent floating piece which you can then move and adapt over the top of where you want that particular button to be. And when you're happy, you can lock the padlock to save it, and now you'll see when you click on that area, it will say the name of whatever button you've just added and also what presentation that then links to. So in this case, I've got a sign-in option, touch sign, and it links to our in-out presentation. So if I then go onto our presentations, just filter that through, we can then see our in-out presentation is there. Again, that's just a single MP4 that plays this. And then I've used the same padlock to add in a sign in and a sign out button, which then go to our sign in page and our sign out page. So essentially you can build as many as you want. You can just keep adding and adding and adding as you see fit. Now, when you are ready to then assign the content, the first step is to go on screens, go onto that touch totem and press the edit button. Now, ordinarily we would advise dragging and dropping from the left to the right, but it's a bit easier to do it this way. So we can press this edit button and press advanced. So what we're going to want to do is choose a presentation that's our home screen. So I'm going to go with touch totem, and I'm going to go with homepage. And then the next option is I want to use presentation as kiosk home screen. I want to select that and then choose an appropriate timeout. So basically what that means is after 60 seconds of me interacting and clicking through my presentations, it will go back to the homepage. Now I'm just going to set this to 15 because it probably works better as a demo environment, just to be a bit quicker, but it's one of those where you would need to kind of test to ensure that people have got enough time to see things. So I've got the presentation timeout as 15 seconds, I've got it used as kiosk home screen, and I've got a presentation assigned, which is my home page. So now all I would do is press save, and then what you will see, screen was successfully updated, and that totem is now changed. Okay, so now you can see that totem has actually changed to display that content that we just added. Remember, there's a button there, there's a couple of buttons here that I can then press and go through. So to give you guys an example, we might want to go on that sign in one that I showed you. So in this case, what I would do is press sign in, and that will then link to that same sign in presentation that we just had. Now again, because I had further buttons, I could then sign in. This just goes to a Google form, for instance. Again, the great thing about the totem is when you click on a space where it requires a keyboard, it will give you the option to bring one up too, so you can fill in forms and things like that too. Now what I'm actually going to do is leave that though. So as mentioned, when we click that use kiosk as home screen, I set 15 seconds as a timeout. That essentially means 15 seconds from the last time that I press the screen, it will go back to the home page. And that is you set up your touch totem. Now obviously if you need any further help or assistance, you can feel free to contact us. If you go to clevertouch.com, there's lots of information there. We also have a YouTube channel. If you just go onto YouTube, search Clevertouch, you will see the YouTube channel there. It's got a blue icon, and then there's lots of helpful, handy tips and tricks there as well. Thank you.